Hey, shalom alechem, erev tov, good evening. We are finally back in between all of the travels in the world. We're here in San Diego, Baruch Hashem. And I wanted to get us ready for the upcoming holiday of Purim. I know you feel like Purim is far away, but 3 weeks from now is Purim. So we're right around the corner. That means that right after that is Pesach, and we're going to be baking matzot together. And we're going to run out of time to study all the relevant halachot. We don't start now. So just hang in there, and we'll get through them, B'ezrat Hashem. Every year I do something different, preparing for the laws of Purim. And listen, the hard thing about being in our Kehillat is because we only believe that HaShamayim happened once, the halachot get boring after a while because we do the same things. Like the same way we do Purim this year is the same way we did it last year, the same way the year before, the same way the year before. In other Jewish communities, they have new revelations at HaShamayim. Every year they have new halachot that come out. New minhagim, new things they do. So every year you have to get new books and new... So we're in a cycle. Last year we did the Mishneh Torah, laws of Purim. The value of the Mishneh Torah is that it's really, really, really fast and it's very, very easy and you'll have a chance. I don't think we released last year's Mishneh Torah video, so we'll do it this week, B'ezrat Hashem. And then you can review the Mishneh Torah as you wish. For right now, we're going to... Just in time, Jacob. We're going to come right back to Shulchan Aruch. And if I cough in the middle of the shiur, you're going to forgive me. I'm still catching up on my lungs here. Shulchan Aruch is a very different book. Shulchan Aruch for us is very authoritative. It's also very, very, very complicated. In the sense of the Rambam went out of his way to keep everything simple. Maran did a different kind of job when writing the Shulchan Aruch. And you're going to do it with me. There are going to be parts that we're going to skip because we don't need to do them. And I figured that I have enough copies of Mishnah Be'ura between my house, but I kind of said that we'd use the Mishnah Be'ura, one, because Mori Harav loved the Mishnah Be'ura, but number two, because the page numbers are pretty standard for me to tell you where to find them. So if you have a Mishnah Be'ura in front of you, you want to be on page 298. And if you don't have one, there's a PDF attached to the Google Classroom. It's actually the new edition of the Ish Matzliach, which is the red book that I think, Estelle, you have on your table, a red one? Estelle, those two books I gave you are the same. You can give one to Rosie if she wants. That one, the red one and the silver one are the same book. Just different publishers, yes. And there's a new Ish Matzliach I attached there. B'ezrat Hashem, I hope to buy myself a set of those. But for right now, I have the old one. But always the problem, you buy the old books, you buy the originals, then they print out nicer ones, and then you feel bad that you bought them first. You never keep up with it. It's kind of like the iPhone. Maran, and those of you who want to just use a regular Shulchan Aruch, Siman, Taf, Resh, Pe, He. That's going to be Taf is 400. Resh is 200. Pe, 80. And He, 5. So 400 plus 200, 600 plus 80, plus 5. So 685. So you want to open up Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim, chapter 685. Jacob is going to be in there also. I didn't make the captions. What page is it? Yours?
298.
That's Tav Resh Peh.
Yes, the Alba Parshiyot.
Where do you see Chanukah?
On the top it says
Mine says Hilchot Arba Parashiyot.
oh, mine does. It says
When was that one printed? They're not going to tell you. Mine Samach Zay. There you go. In the next edition, they made them short.
Yeah.
So, Maran writes the following: Seder Arba Parashiyot. The order of the 4 parashiyot. What do we mean when we say 4 parashiyot? There are 4 parashiyot that we read before Pesach. And they begin already very soon. Rosh Chodesh Adar. the month of Adar, Hasamuch leNisan, which is close to Nisan. Is there ever an Adar that is not close to Nisan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Adar when there are two
Adar Aleph, very good. When there's two Adar, so the first Adar is far from Nisan because there's Adar number 1, Adar number 2, then there's Nisan. And when we say Adar, we mean the month of Adar, the real one. The real one is the second one. ראש חודש אדר הסמוך לניסן שחל להיות בשבת. קוראים פרשת שקלים. We read Parashat Shekalim, of the silver coins that we used in the desert to count the Jewish people. Halakha number 2. B'Shabbat Shniya, in the next Shabbat, Motziim Shne Sefarim, we take out 2 Sifrei Torah. Be'echad Koreh Parashat HaShavua. The first one we read the weekly Torah portion. Uvashani Koreh, and the second one you read Zachor et Asher Asa Lecha Amalek. You read about what Amalek did to us, and then we have an obligation to wipe out the memory of Amalek. Now, why would we read that the Shabbat just before Purim? Yeah? Okay, tell me why else we might read it. Haman is from Amalek. Yeah? Haman is from Amalek. We have minhag on Purim to eat sweet things. Naftali, can I put you in charge of choosing something from there to give out to everybody? Yeah, no. You find something you guys like. Gimel, halakha number 3. B'Shabbat Shelishit, the third of the Shabbatot, Shi Tedvav Ba'adar, Mafsikin, you take a break. U'Shabbat Revi'it, and on the fourth Shabbat, Shu Chavbed Adar, Motzim Shne Sfarim, you take out again 2 Sifrei Torah. Bechad Koreh Parashat Shavua, V'Shni Koreh Parashat Para. On one you read the weekly Torah portion, and then you read the Maftir, you read Parashat Para, with a parasha of the red cow, the red heifer. B'Shabbat Chamishi, Shu Chavtet B'Adar, Motzim Shne Sfarim. Bechad Koreh Parashat Shavua, Uvashni HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. And you read what we call Parashat HaChodesh. So there are 4 parashiot that we read before Pesach. The first one, Shekalim. The second one, Zachor. The third one, Para. The fourth one, HaChodesh. Chaver, why do we review halachot if we know them already?
We don't know them.
Thank you. So I'll take the yellow one. So the only reason we review them is so we remember them. And it's okay if you forget them, because you didn't do this since last year. You don't have to worry that you forgot them. Just now you have to learn them. Now, let's go to halakha Zayin. You see Zayin on the next page? Now, for those of you in my Sunday morning class, you're actually going to open up a book like this with all these commentaries on it. Right now I'm just focusing on the top. The top is bold words. That's the Shulchan Aruch. That's Rabbi Yosef Karo, Maran. When I say Maran, that's what I'm talking about. Underneath are all kinds of commentaries of different Chachamim. Yesh Omrim, there are some who say, שפרשת זכור ופרשת פרה אדומה חייבים לקרותם מדאורייתא. This is the opinion of the Tosafot, who says that Parashat Zachor and Parashat Para are a biblical obligation to read them. Lefichach, therefore, Bnei HaYeshuvim, the people who live far away in the villages, she'en lehem minyan, they don't have a minyan where they live. צריכים לבוא למקום שיש מניין בשבתות הללו, כדי לשמוע פרשיות אלו שהן מדאורייתא. They should make sure to come to the Beit Knesset in the community where there is a minyan to hear these parashiot. I'm going to say this 1,000,000 times. There is no way to be Jewish without a community. Period. All kinds of people think I could do it like this, I could do it like that, I could do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. You could try, and you'll maybe do a decent job, but not a good job. Not a good job. We can't do this alone. It's just not possible. Even myself, in the middle of COVID, at home, and I think I'm pretty good at knowing what to do and how to do and where to do and what. Still, not normal. It's not normal to not have a kehillat. It's normal not to have who to eat with, who to pray with, who to learn with, who to talk. It's not possible. To do Pesach alone, Shavuot alone, that's not normal. So a person has to make sure, even if you live far away, there are certain times you come. You know, the Hasidim, they do this very well. They have certain days, like Rosh Hashanah, for example, not a chance in the world. No matter where they live in the world, they're going to be where they belong on Rosh Hashanah. That's what they do. That's how they do it. It's important to know. Says the Rama, what happens if you cannot make it? מכל מקום יזהרו לקרותם בנגינתם ובטעמם. You should still listen in their proper tune. You should read them in the proper tune. Look, I'm going to see if I could very quickly pull up a video for you. If I can. If I cannot pull it up, then I will not. Here. Our parents, every year before he would leave the yeshiva, he would take out a Torah and he would read for us Zacho, pronounced the way that he believed the letter should be pronounced. Very different than the way he prayed the rest of the year. Let me try to play it for you. For those of you, if you can hear it on Zoom, you can hear it. If not, those are the. Explaining it's a mitzvah to listen to Parashat Zachor. He would do this every single year. He would take out a Sefer Torah. Chevron on Zoom, you're able to hear that? No, I will try my best to send it out. Every year he would take a Sefer Torah out and he would read for us Parashat Zachor like that. It's a biblical obligation to hear Zachor. Let's look at the laws of Tanit Esther. Next page, page 300, Siman Taf Resh Pei Vav Tarpu. Give me a spoon, please. בחנוכה ופורים מותר להתענות לפניהם ולאחריהם. On Chanukah and Purim, you're allowed to fast before them and after them, but not on them. Very good. Thank you. And Maran continues, Mit'anin b'yud gimel b'adar. We fast on the 13th day of Adar. What is that fast called? Tanit Esther. That's the fast of Esther. V'im chal Purim bechad b'Shabbat. And if Purim falls out on Sunday, so 13th of Adar is fast day. 14th is Purim. What happens if the 14th falls out on Shabbat? So do you fast on Friday? Maran says no. Im chal Purim bechad b'Shabbat, magdimim litanot b'yom chamishi. You move the fast to Thursday, and then you celebrate Purim on Sunday. I meant on Sunday, not on Shabbat. On Sunday. Why do we fast on Tanit Esther? What are we commemorating? Which fasts? The one that Esther, the one that Esther had. Very good. Bimei Mordechai ve'Esther. On the 13th of Adar, we went to war, correct? And we fasted in order to go to war. How do you know we fasted to go to war? Who else fasted when he went to war? No. Okay, a lot of people. Oh, very good. It's old minhag. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he fought Amalek, he went to war. So for sure, Mordechai and Esther did the same thing. And we commemorate that fast day because we won the war on the 14th. So we fast on that day. Now we call it the fast of Yonatan, when he went to war. Okay, we have here, therefore, a fast that we call Ta'anit Esther. Why do we call it Ta'anit Esther? Who is really the one in the hot seat right now in the whole story of Purim? It was Queen Esther. So we name it after her. Yeah, we name it after her, and that's the story of the fast here. Says the Rama. How do you know it's the Rama speaking and not Maran? Look at the font on the top. The bold font is Maran. The smaller font, that's Rabbi Moshe Israelish. He writes, Haga v'ta'anit zeh eno chova. This fast is not an obligation. It's a custom of the Jewish people to fast on Ta'anit Esther, but not an obligation. There's a reason to be lenient about it. You're lenient about it, like who? Kigon me'ubarot, like pregnant women, or minikot, or nursing women, or lechole shen bo sakana, or even a sick person, not a dangerously sick person. He for sure doesn't have to fast. But this fast was made for otherwise healthy people. If you're not otherwise healthy, you don't fast on this fast. It's a minhag. ואפילו רק כואבי עיניים, שמצטערים הרבה לא יטענו ויפרעו אחר כך. Even if somebody has a very bad eye problem, he can not fast today, he'll fast a different time for it. He'll make up for it. אבל שאר בריאים, but other healthy people. By the way, what makes a person pregnant? That they're pregnant. A person's pregnant is pregnant. What makes a person nursing? That they're nursing. I don't like the people in Sfaradim today. A person's nursing. She has a nurse already for 18 months, but she's still giving her baby formula. So so tell the Similac container he doesn't have to fast on Ta'anit Esther, but everybody else has to fast. But other healthy people, lo yifreshu min hatzibur. They should not separate from the community. V'im chal Purim b'yom rishon. Okay, this doesn't matter. So bottom line is, if you're healthy, fast Ta'anit Esther. You're not healthy, you don't fast Ta'anit Esther. But Ta'anit Esther is an important fast because it connects you with the rest of the Jewish people. But if for whatever reason you cannot fast, you don't fast. It's not a obligatory fast. There's a halakha you probably never heard of before because I've never seen anybody do it before. Look at the bottom, the last line, Gimel. Yesh mit'anim, there are those who fast shelosha yamim, for 3 days. Zecher leTa'anit Esther, in commemoration of the fast of Esther, who fasted, Sumu alai, val tochelu, val tishtu, shaloshet yamim, laila vayom, gam ani v'na'arotai atzum ken. She says, please fast 3 days, day and night. Just like she did it, they fast the same way. I don't know. It seems like the fast really is broken up between Monday, Thursday, and a Monday, but at the end of the day, this is what some people have. I mean, I have never seen anybody do it before. Has anyone here ever seen anybody fast 3 days Purim time? No. Okay. Tafresh Pe Zayin. We're now up to Purim itself. On Purim itself, the first mitzvah that hits you on Purim is Chiyuv Kiryat Megillah, to read the Megillah, an obligation to read the Megillah. Chayav Adam Likrot HaMegillah. A person must read the Megillah. When we say read the Megillah, you have to read the Megillah? Rather, you have to either read the Megillah or listen to the Megillah being read. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. When someone reads for you, they're as if you're doing the mitzvah. So you have to read the Megillah balayla, at nighttime. V'lachazor v'lishnotah bayom. And you have to go back and repeat it again during the day. So the nighttime and the daytime are two separate mitzvot. V'shel layla, the nighttime Megillah, zemana kol halayla. You can read it the whole night. V'shel yom, zemana kol hayom. And you can read it the whole day. Mehanetzach hama, from sunrise ad sof hayom, until the end of the day. V'im kira'ah misha'ala amud hashachar yatsa. And if you read it from when dawn begins, then even then you fulfill your obligation. So you could read the Megillah. Let's say the Purim starts. I'm going to give an example. 6:30 at night. You can read it and the sun rises at 5 o'clock in the morning. Until when can you read the Megillah at night? At 5 o'clock in the morning. Till 5 o'clock. But once 5 o'clock happens, now it's a new mitzvah. Now it's the mitzvah of reading the Megillah for the day, and you can do that until sunset. So you have to read it twice, once at night, once in the day. There are all kinds of people that have minhagim. Women don't hear it here. Women don't listen there. I don't know who made up these minhagim. There are obligations for men and for women to hear the Megillah twice. Says Maran Halacha number 2, bet Mevatelin Talmud Torah lishmoa mikra Megillah. We even stop studying Torah in order to go hear the Megillah. Kal v'chomer l'shar mitzvot shel Torah shekulam nitchim mipnei mikra Megillah. How much more so all the other Torah mitzvot, you push them off in order to hear the Megillah. Now, reading the Megillah is a mitzvah from where? From the Torah or from the rabbis? From the rabbis. So we're saying that it's so important to read the Megillah that you even push off a mitzvah from the Torah to go hear the Megillah from the Chachamim. שאין לך דבר שנדחה מקרא מגילה מפניו, חוץ, next page, 302, ממת מצווה שאין לו קוברים. The only mitzvah that pushes off the reading of the Megillah is if you find a dead body that needs to be buried. And there's nobody to bury it, meaning there's no family to bury this person. שהפוגע בו, קוברו תחילה ואחר כך קורא. That first you bury the person, and then you come back to read the Megillah. Now the Rama is bothered. How could you push off a mitzvah from the Torah in order to fulfill a rabbinic mitzvah? It makes sense to you that a rabbinic mitzvah pushes away a biblical mitzvah? No, of course not. So how could it be? Says the Rama, וכל זה לא מיירה אלא בדאיקה שהות לעשות שתיהן. We're only talking about a situation where you have time to do both. Now you just have to choose which one you do first. You always are going to choose Megillah first and then the other mitzvah. אבל אם אי אפשר לעשות שתיהן, אין שום מצווה דאורייתא נדחית מפני מקרא מגילה. But if you have only time to do one of them, you're always going to choose the biblical mitzvah over the rabbinic mitzvah. Let's open here if you want. So far, we know that you have an obligation to hear Megillah once at night and once in the daytime. Now the question is, which day? Which day do you have to hear the Megillah being read? So if you look with me in Siman Taf Reish Pechet, the same page, just the next paragraph, you see? It's 302 still. Din krachim hamukafim choma mimot Yehoshua bin Nun. What is the law, the status of cities that are surrounded by a wall from the days of Yehoshua bin Nun? Who is Yehoshua bin Nun? Leader of the Jews after Moshe Rabbeinu. What has he got to do with the story of Purim? Nothing. Oh, very good. I'm glad someone knows the answer. Says Maran, Siman Aleph. Siv Aleph. Kirachim hamukafim choma mimot Yehoshua bin Nun. Cities that are surrounded by a wall from the times of Yehoshua bin Nun. Afilu enan mukafin achshav. Even if they don't have a wall now, but they used to have a wall in the times of Yehoshua bin Nun. Korin betu. You read the Megillah on 2. What is 2? Tedvav. What is Tedvav? 15th of Adar. On the 15th of Adar. So we celebrate Purim, for context, on the 14th of Adar. But if you happen to live in a city that used to have a wall in the times of Yehoshua bin Nun, then they call it Shulchan Purim. We call it, So the 15th of Adar, you're going to read the Megillah. Afilu imhem, next page, bechutz ha'aretz, even if they're outside of Eretz Israel. Ve'afilu en behem asara batlanim. Okay, let's leave this asara batlanim on the side. I don't have time for a headache right now. Vehu shehukaf ואחר כך ישב, או שישב תחילה על דעת עקיפו אחר כך, להפוק כשנודע שישב תחילה על דעת שלא לעקיפו. Okay? חבר'ה, you're living in a place, and they have a wall from the times of Yehoshua bin Nun. You should have told me a place that has a wall from the times of Esther HaMalka. What does it have to do? Harry, what's the story here, guys? What's the story? Look with me. Look at me in Halakha. In Halakha. Here. I'm sorry. Let's keep reading. Bet. All the villages, the towns, the cities you see near the cities that are surrounded by walls, even if they're not exactly close, let's say they're on the mountain, that's why you could see them. Or maybe they're close to the city with the wall, but they're not able to be seen, like they're in the valley. They should not be farther than a mil. Shushan. What about Shushan itself, the capital city of Iran at the time of this story, of Persia? Shushan, even though it's not surrounded by a wall from the days of Yoshua, you read in Tedvav on the 15th because that's where the miracle happened. And therefore Maran continues Halakha Gimel, Kfarim va'ayarot gedolot ukrachim she'enam mukafim choma mimot Yoshua ben Nun korin b'Yud Daled. And cities that don't have a wall from the times of Yoshua ben Nun, you celebrate them Purim on the 14th. Okay, city doesn't have a wall from the times of Yoshua ben Nun. You read it on what day? 14. If it has a wall from Yoshua ben Nun, 15. What about the city of Shushan? It did not have a wall in Yoshua ben Nun. When do you read it? On the 15th. Why on the 15th? Because that's where the miracle happened. That's where the miracle happened. Yes. You're still with me? One more halakha. Krach shehu safek im hu kaf b'mi Yoshua im lav. What if you don't know if the city has a wall from Yoshua ben Nun or not? I don't know. Korim b'Yudaled u'v'Tedvav u'v'Lelehon. You read on the 14th and the 15th, day and night. V'lo yivarech kim b'Yudaled, but you only say bracha on the 14th. Shehu zman kriya lerov ha'olam, because that's when most of the world reads it. So if you don't know about your city, you err on the side of caution. You read 2 days, Megillah, but you only say bracha on the first day, on the 14th, like everybody else in the world. Most places in the world, we celebrate Purim on the 14th. I think I saw a letter from Rav Uziel, the first Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel. Yeah, but they did not have a wall. The first Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, he was asked about the United States of America. He said, because we don't know, in America you have to celebrate 2 days of Purim. I never saw anybody do that, but here's what I can tell you for sure. If I asked you before, what does Yehoshua ben Nun have to do with the story of Purim? And I think it was Josiah who said nothing. So my question is, if it has nothing to do with Purim, why is a wall from the time of Yehoshua ben Nun so central to the celebration of Purim?
Because he come across the line, so he know all the places that have wall or not.
So what? What does it have to do with Purim? Everybody knows this halakha. You have to have a wall from the times of Yehoshua ben Nun in order to read Megillah on the 15th. Why, I'm asking you? Why? What's the criteria here?
But Jerusalem had a wall at that time.
Because Jerusalem had a wall at that time? So say anywhere that had a wall in the times of Jerusalem. What does God do with Yehoshua?
Because it's central figure.
This whole story happened in Shushan. What does God do with Yerushalayim?
Never know. It's a great wall of China.
Okay, let's read together because I see that we don't know. Let's do it together. Look in the Mishnah Berurah at the bottom. See the commentary in the bottom left says Aleph. See Aleph? Aleph. Hamukafim choma mimot Yoshua ben Nun. They were surrounded by a wall from the days of Yoshua bin Nun. Ki bizman Mordechai, because in the times of Mordechai, by that name Mordechai, you see this name Mordechai? A few ways to say it. We say kamatz katan, mo. So Mordechai, we say like that. Ashkenazim don't really say kamatz like that. They say more like an oh. So they say maybe it sounds a little more, I'm not an expert, like Mordechai, like that. Now in the actual books, there's two ways to vowelize. You can also say Mordechai, or like in Yemenites, Mordechai, like that. It's going to have two kamatz. One kamatz under the mem, one kamatz under the dalet. I'm just telling you, they're variant Jewish readings of the name Mordechai. I say Mordechai, that's how I say it. Ki bizman Mordechai bet hanes ktiv, in the times of Mordechai it says, Shehudim shebechol makom nilchamu yom Yud Gimel. They fought on the 13th of Adar. V'nachu b'yom Yud Dalet, and they rested on the 14th of Adar. V'asu oto mishteh b'simcha, and day 14 became a day of celebration, a feasting. Uv Shushan, and on the capital city of Shushan, nitan laYehudim lilachem im hagoyim gam b'yom Yud Dalet. We were given permission to fight the nations over there one more day. V'lo asu yom tov ad tet vav, and they did not celebrate therefore until the next day, because they went to war for 2 days. וכיוון שבאותו זמן נחלקו לשני ימים, and because in that first Purim, the Jewish people celebrated on 2 different days. Those outside of Shushan celebrated on the 14th, and those inside of Shushan on the 15th. כשקבע מרדכי ואסתר בהסכמת אנשי כנסת הגדולה לקבוע פורים לדורות, when Mordechai and Esther, with the permission of the men of the great assembly, established Purim as a holiday for future generations, חילקו גם כן אותו לשני ימים. They also separated to 2 days, because the first Purim had 2 days, so they wanted all the rest of the Purim to look like the first Purim, to have also 2 days. והיה ראוי לתקן, and the thing that Mordechai should have done was the following. שכל עיר שהיא מוקפת חומה, כמו שושן, that every place in the world that has a wall like Shushan, יהיה דומה לשושן לעשות בטור. That they should celebrate on the 15th if they have a wall like Shushan. והיה ראוי לצלות הכבוד בשושן. And they should have made this halakha, the honor of this halakha should have been dependent on Shushan. ולתקן שכל עיר שהיא מוקפת חומה מימות אחשוורוש, יקראו בט"ו. That all the cities that have walls from the times of Achashverosh, they should celebrate on the 15th. That's what Mordechai should have done. The story happened with Achashverosh in the city of Shushan. So you want to decide who celebrates on the 14th, who celebrates on the 15th. You should say, whichever city had a wall in the time of Purim, they should celebrate like a walled city. Whoever didn't have a wall at the time of Purim, not a walled city. אך כיוון שארץ ישראל הייתה חרבה באותו עת, but because Eretz Yisrael was destroyed at that time. What are we doing in Purim's story? Why are we in Persia in the first place?
They were in exile.
We were in exile. Why? Because our Bet HaMikdash is
The
destroyed.
temple was destroyed.
So we're sitting now outside of Israel. Our Yerushalayim is destroyed. ויהיה לפי זה עיירות המוקפות בחוץ לארץ חשובות מהם. And now, if we make the halakha about Shushan and the walls of Shushan, what are we saying? That the cities outside of Eretz Israel are more important than the cities that are inside of Eretz Israel. ועל כן, and therefore, תיקנו לכבוד ארץ ישראל. Our rabbis made a law out of honor to Eretz Israel. שכל עיר שהיא מוקפת ממות יהושע בן נון יקראו בט"ו, אף על פי שאין מוקפות עכשיו. That even if they don't have a wall anymore, but the halakha follows not Shushan, but cities of Eretz Yisrael, the cities of Yehoshua ben Nun. והשאר בי"ד לבד שושן, and the rest follow the 14th, except for Shushan. אף על פי שאינה מוקפת מימות יהושע בן נון, אפילו הכי קוראים בט"ו מפני שבו נעשה הנס. So essentially, Shushan now becomes the least important city. The cities of Eretz Yisrael become the important cities, and the ones outside of Eretz Yisrael, like Shushan, they become the least important cities. Here you find the halakha that our rabbis are programming your mind to celebrate about Eretz Yisrael. Here you have a miracle. This miracle happens in Persia. It has nothing to do with Eretz Yisrael, this miracle. What part of Purim? We don't even go back to Israel after the story of Purim. This is a very sad Purim story. The Purim miracle is a sad story.
How do they get a greater family if they don't go back to Israel? How do they have a greater family? How do they?
Our Sanhedrin goes into Galut with us. That's where Mordechai is hanging out, right? Our elders are still with us, but we're in exile. So what are we telling you? There are times where you have to recognize the part of Purim that is sad is that we didn't even really win. So we got our life, sure. Bet HaMikdash we didn't get. Yerushalayim we didn't get. Moving back to Israel didn't happen to us. And so because of that, by the way, some suggest that that's the reason why in Purim there is no Hallel. Really because the Megillah is the Hallel of Purim. But because Purim is missing the central part of it, which is Eretz Yisrael. Now imagine if we now made all the halachot of Purim are connected to Iran. Now you're turning Iran to be more important than Eretz Yisrael. Rabbis didn't want it. They said, forget Shushan. We want you to focus on Eretz Yisrael. You determine your celebration based on what happened in Eretz Yisrael. That's our homeland. And then Shushan, you know what? You can read on the 15th, because Shushan was also part of the miracle. How could it be also part of the miracle? Shushan is the miracle. Doesn't matter. Eretz Yisrael. I think in my life, my whole life, Harav Peretz pushed us hard. Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael. I know I'm sitting here in San Diego. I sound like a hypocrite. But not like that. Everything in the world we do revolves around Eretz Yisrael. Harav Peretz, if we meet a rabbi who would have something about Eretz Yisrael, it would just, it was Mesugal, we never talked to him again. He was able to not count somebody for a minyan who had bad feelings about Eretz Yisrael. If you sat in your house in San Diego and you told him, wow, look what a nice house I have. I'm sure in Israel you don't have houses like this. Harav Peretz, it's possible he would never count you again for a minyan. How could you be Jewish and talk like that about Eretz Yisrael? In his mind, doesn't matter what our Chachamim are programming us. In the story of Purim, which has nothing to do with Eretz Yisrael, don't you dare forget Eretz Yisrael. That's why this halakha is important. You and I are in San Diego. We're celebrating on the 14th. But you have to know the halachot of the 15th. They always come back to Eretz Yisrael. Now, there are some halachot here. Like, what happens if you go to a walled city on one day and then to an unwalled city in a different day? The later rabbis talk a lot about this. Let's give you an example. It's very easy to do. Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, is a city that's considered a walled city from the times of Yoshua ben Nun. Tel Aviv, for example, is not considered a walled city from the times of Yoshua ben Nun.
Akko.
If you find, right, okay, so other cities in Israel already started getting tough. They already fight today. Israel, they fight about which city does what and how close to Yerushalayim, how far from Yafo, Akko, Tveria, Shiloh. The guys fighting all the time about this. Yeah.
Yerushalayim has been expanded many times.
What about the real Yerushalayim Hachanan? Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh, the old city of Yerushalayim. Want to hear something about Harav Peretz? His opinion was, unlike the other rabbis in the world, his opinion was, as big as you can make Yerushalayim, make it. Let Yerushalayim go as big as it goes. Forget about the old city of Yerushalayim. Just keep going. Keep going. Whatever is called Yerushalayim, keep going. That's Yerushalayim. Obviously, not everybody agreed with him, but that was his opinion. I always solved the problem. I lived in the old city of Yerushalayim. So, here you have a story like this. Let's say a guy is in Yerushalayim. No, he's in Tel Aviv on the 14th. They celebrate Purim on the 14th. Now, after the 14th is over, around sunset, he decides to take a bus to Yerushalayim. They don't need a bus, they need a train. How long does it take to get from Tel Aviv to Yerushalayim by train today? 23 minutes. Used to be an hour on a bus. 23 minutes. I don't know if the bus was ever really an hour, but a little over an hour. You find yourself now in a city on the 15th. And you're going to sleep there for the night. Then now you have to celebrate Purim for 2 days. One for the 14th, one for the 15th. Let's say your family lives in Tel Aviv. And you're saying, let me go to my family for the week. So you go visit your family for the week. You only celebrate Purim on the 14th because you're in Tel Aviv for Purim. Doesn't matter where you come from. You sleep in Tel Aviv one night, you already become a person from Tel Aviv. The same way the other way. If you're from Tel Aviv, you go visit your parents in Yerushalayim. You stay there for the whole week. You don't celebrate on the 14th. You celebrate only on the 15th. Technically, tell me how a person can skip Purim.
Oh,
The opposite way. He could be in Tel Aviv
15.
on the 15th in Yerushalayim on the 14th, and then he doesn't keep Purim at all. I don't want to be in Gehenom with that guy. Okay, but I'll tell you like this. At the end of the day, that's how these halachot work. It's not so relevant for us in America. But in Israel, it happens all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. There's some halachot, like what happens if you get stuck in a boat? What happened? Let's leave those halachot. I once got stuck in a bus. Say a story before I keep going. I used to do, when I lived in Israel, every year I went 14th, I went to Haifa to be with my family. On the Purim night of the 14th, I went to be with my mom's family because my uncle, not Dan, other uncle, he is Askara. He passed away on Purim on the 13th. So always on the 14th, they would make a big meal on Purim in his honor. I would go there, I would read Megillah for them. I would sleep the night in that half of Haifa. Then the daytime, I would go to the other part of Haifa where my father's family lives. I would eat a big meal with them. We'd read the Megillah. And then on the 14th in the afternoon, I would take a bus back to Yerushalayim. And my students would wait for me in Yerushalayim at the 15th at night. I would read for them Megillah. We'd do Purim together. In the whole 15th day. That's what I did every year when I lived in Israel.
1 year I went with you, that was so late reading the Megillah, 1:30 to...
Right, so I'm telling that story. But you could tell the story if you want.
No, that's it.
Yeah. So we were going for our bus. I took my mom on a bus. Can you believe it? Waiting on the bus. And I won't tell you what kind of bus this was, but the people in there were very religious. And they were so religious that they have a mitzvah to push to get on the bus. No, I don't push to get on. I don't push to go anywhere. So they push. We missed the first bus. We pushed. We missed the second bus. We pushed. Finally, we got on the bus. We started our way to Yerushalayim. It starts raining like crazy on the freeway. And the bus breaks down. The bus pulls over to the side of the road. And they put out an alert. Hey, we need someone to fix the bus. That's Purim. There's nobody working on Purim. No technician, no nothing. So they sent a tow truck for the bus. You ever seen a bus tow truck? The tow truck for the bus says you can't tow the bus with people inside of it. He has to get rid of all the people. So they put out an alert. Please send us more buses. We don't have more buses. Okay, so what are you going to do? Every bus that's on the way to Yerushalayim should pull over on the freeway and we're going to give you more people. So like that, the people that push to get on the bus, they also push to get on the next bus and the next bus and the next bus. Finally, by that time, it was just me and my mom on the bus. Nobody else was on the bus, and the driver. And they brought him a new bus. They found a new bus, they brought him a new bus. They towed his old bus, now he has to take the new bus to Yerushalayim. It's a big bus, like a big city, intercity bus. So he turned out to be a Yemenite bus driver. And no kippah, nothing. He read the whole Torah by heart, the whole way to Yerushalayim. He said, where exactly in Yerushalayim do you need to go? I said, no, you're supposed to take me to the central bus stop. I said, no, I know your students are waiting. You had to read the Megillah. Where do you need to be? I said, I need to be in the old city. Like, for those of you in San Diego, that's like, imagine he's supposed to drop you off in Sorrento Valley. You tell him, I need to be La Jolla Shores near the Sea Lions. Like, that's where I need to go, over there. Yeah, I'm going to get a bus over there. He says, I can get you as close as Prospect Street, where Haagen-Dazs is. I'm going to put you over there. He drove the whole bus all the way to Shaar Yafo, to Jaffa Gate, dropped me off with my mother. I think 1:30 in the morning, we read Megillah over there with my students. And then that's when we started Purim. See, you utilize the halakha, you could read the Megillah the whole night. His name was, the bus driver's name, I don't remember her first name, her last name was Yarden. Hashem should bless him. He got me all the way to the old city of Yerushalayim in time for Kehillat Megillah. You have energy for a few more halachot of Megillah? Yes? Let's look on page Kuf Nun Gimel. It's the next one. After 304, it's going to be what is 305. Shakol chayavim b'kriyat Megillah. Everybody's obligated in the reading of the Megillah. Hakol chayavim b'kriyata. Everyone has to read the Megillah. Anashim, men, v'nashim, women, v'gerim, and people who converted to Judaism. And what's the excuse? They can say, listen, I wasn't there in the story of Purim. What do you want from me? I don't have to celebrate. No, you are, because you're part of Am Yisrael, so therefore you celebrate all the holidays of Am Yisrael. V'avadim meshucharim, and slaves that are freed. Anybody here own a slave? No, so you don't have to worry about this halacha. U'mechanechim et haketanim likrota. And we educate the young children to read the Megillah. Which kind of young children? Boys and girls. Why boys and girls? Because women are also obligated to read the Megillah. And therefore,
But it can happen to all of them.
a man or a woman have to read Megillat Esther. By the way, Rabbi some years reads Megillah for herself. There were years where she was pregnant or whatever happened, she couldn't make the Beit HaKnesset. She reads Megillah herself. It's important for you to know how to read a Megillah. It's not so hard to read a Megillah. I don't know how I didn't bring my Megillah today. It's not so hard. It's just a few words, a few chapters, and then you can read the Megillah. No vowels in the Megillah. Echad HaKoreh, whether you are the one reading, V'echad HaShomea min HaKoreh, or you're the one hearing the person reading, Yatsa yedei chovato, you fulfill your mitzvah of reading the Megillah. V'hu sheishma mimi shehu chayav b'kriyata. But that's assuming that you heard the Megillah from someone who has to read the Megillah. Lefichach, therefore, im haya hakoreh cheresh, o katan, o shoteh, if the one reading the Megillah is deaf, or a child, or they're not mentally sound of mind. Next page, 306. Hashomea mimenu lo yatsa. You did not fulfill the mitzvah with that person. Why? A child has to learn how to read the Megillah, but he's not yet obligated to read the Megillah. Bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah. V'yesh omrim, and there are some who say, shehanashim enam motziot et ha'anashim. This is an Ashkenazi opinion that says that women cannot read the Megillah for men. Also, but we don't agree. So for Ashkenazim, they would agree that a woman can read the Megillah for other women, but not for men. The same way like Kriyat Torah. Out of respect to the community, a woman doesn't read. For Sephardim, we don't agree. A woman can read Megillah for men or for women. Yes, but what about with ta'amim, with tunes? All of that is fine. There's no prohibition about that at all. Define require. If you don't read with ta'amim, do you fulfill the mitzvah? Yes. By the way, I saw once, could have been one of the Rishonim. I feel like Rabbi Yosef Karo again showed it to me once, who says that there was a minhag to actually read the Megillah without ta'amim, because it's not supposed to be a scroll, it's supposed to be a letter. But that's not what we Amsa today does. Says the Rama, ויש אומרים, and some say, אם האישה קוראה לעצמה, מברכת לשמוע מגילה שאינה חייבת בקריאה. Ashkenazim take it one step further. Not only does a woman not read the Megillah, she only hears the Megillah. So if she has no choice, but she has to read the Megillah, she says the blessing, not blessed are you Hashem al mikra Megillah, who commanded me to read the Megillah. She says, blessed are you Hashem, who commanded me to lishmo'a Megillah, to hear the Megillah. I don't understand the halacha, guys. No. I'm stuck with the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch. I think women are obligated to men. I think that's how you read this halacha. More than that, I don't know. What about a person who doesn't know if they're a man or a woman? Okay, halacha gimel, not relevant to us here. Dalet. HaShomea Megillah. No, look at the last halacha. Halacha vav. Minhag tov. It's a good minhag. Lehavi ktanim uktanot lishmoa mikra Megillah. It's a good thing to bring young children to the Beit HaKnesset to hear the Megillah. Why? Because they have an obligation to learn how to do this mitzvah. So bring the children. What I mean by children, Elchanan has to hear the Megillah? Yes. Bring him? Yes. Avinoam? Yes. Shira Hodaya? Yes. Yair?
No.
Naftali, what do you think? Yair old enough to learn how to read the Megillah?
Abba Saba said when he was a kid, when he turned 3, they taught him how to read, and he read.
Let's just say Saba was smarter than Yair. Yedidia?
No way.
No way. Well, the Elisha has to read Megillah? No, even if you brought him to Bet HaKnesset, he would understand what he's doing? No. So for sure, that's not who you bring to Bet HaKnesset. We mean a child who knows, like somebody who's getting there to learn about Mikra Megillah. What's the problem? The problem is nowadays the kids don't come to Bet HaKnesset to hear the Megillah. The kids come to Bet HaKnesset to make noise. Why? Because there are some communities have a minhag to have clowns on Purim. And some communities, they even have a minhag that the teachers in the school, they're all clowns. And so the teachers in the school, they tell the kids there's a mitzvah to be like a clown on Purim and to make noise in the middle of the Bet HaKnesset. You read the story of leaving Egypt. We say, Vahi b'shalach Paro et ha'am. When we said Paro, you guys went, boo! You went like that? Bing, 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 clap, clap, you do that? You read Amalek, you go boo? Boo! No. You read about, tell me some bad names of Torah. Bilam, you go boo? No, boo. Nimrod, who are you going to read? Boo? You don't boo anybody. All of a sudden comes the Megillah, and people think, wow, let's make noise. They're busy making noise with the thing, with people throwing cap guns on the floor. There's a little thing. People are shooting off fireworks. I don't know what they're doing over here. Horns from the truck. Air horns, all kinds of things they do. That's what you do inside the Bet HaKnesset. Imagine right now, you brought here a Muslim guy, or a Christian guy, a Catholic guy, a Mormon guy. You brought him to Bet HaKnesset, and he comes to Bet HaKnesset. First off, all the Jews are dressed like clowns. Now they're also honking their horns in the middle of reading the holy books of Torah. What is this guy going to think about the Jewish people? It's not normal. Something very not normal inside of Am Yisrael. And these kind of minhagim, they didn't used to exist inside of our communities. They came to us from other places. I'm not going to blame anybody right now. And even in those places, they didn't do what they do now. In our Kehillat, we have the following damage control. Because the kids go to school during the day, another weird minhag of San Diego, because the kids go to school during the day, but at nighttime they're here, I have to give in. I can't fight all the kids. They made the special things, the shakers. So we become a Chabad Bet HaKnesset on the nighttime of Purim. Chabad has a minhag. Oh, it's being recorded. Wait till they make a video. Chabad has a minhag that they only make noise during the Megillah about 5 times. Whenever it says Haman with another name. Haman ben Hamdata, Haman ha'agagi, Haman. That's when they say. Aside from that, they don't make noise. So I tell people, tonight you have your chance. Let out all of your energy on Haman tonight. Because tomorrow morning, the first person to make noise during Kehillat Megillah, I'm going to show him where the door is. Don't make noise in the middle of Tefillah. Normal people make noise in the middle of Tefillah. So now you bring the kids to Bet HaKnesset. And now they're busy honking their horns, stamping their feet. But they don't know how to stop. You got them all excited. They're jumping on the chairs. They're swinging from the window shades out of there. You got to stop them now. They don't stop. There are some very scary midrashim about children who come to Bet HaKnesset and make noise. Very scary midrashim. I'm not here to say I don't scare people. It's not my story. Yeah, but you don't want to be from those people. It's not our job. Yeah, so you make sure the people you bring to Bet HaKnesset, you tell them we're going to behave. When the reader of the Megillah raises their hand, that's when we stop making the noise. And then you keep going. And later you can party all that you want. Yes.
Like that we have school on Hanukkah Day and Purim Day. Do you think we should be on?
Are you asking me that while the camera's on?
Yeah.
So answer it like the camera's on. I think that in a city like San Diego, if you were to go home on Purim, or if Naftali were to go home on Purim, you would still celebrate Purim at home. You come to the Bet HaKnesset with your family. But the chance is that probably 60 or 70 or 50 or 80, I don't know the numbers, 80% of your class would just be home. Their parents are at work, they'd hire a babysitter, and they watch Netflix the whole day. And that means that if it wasn't for the school being open, the kids would never celebrate Purim. They wouldn't hear Megillah, they wouldn't think about it, they would nothing. They wouldn't have whatever they do on Purim, they have a carnival, whatever they do. That's not a mitzvah to have a carnival, but the same thing with Chanukah. If it wasn't, it's why when I was a kid here, they had school on Sukkot. We had school on Sukkot.
They tried doing it.
Because the kids never saw sukkah at home. They went the whole year. Their parents pay tens of thousands of dollars for Jewish school tuition to come home. No, so we don't do Sukkot. That's not our holiday. It's a very unusual thing. But I think that's why the school stays open. Yeah. Yeah. The middle days between the two halves of the holiday. I think that's important. I mean, if I was the educator of the school, that's why Rabbi Sansino started doing like Megillah reading at school. That's new. They didn't used to do Megillah reading at school. He realized how many of the families in the school don't read Megillah ever. Or they do tashlich. No, it's not my thing to do tashlich, but he made it because the community, there are kids that Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, they don't go anywhere. They don't have a Beit Knesset they go to. They just go home. I don't think we know. You know how many kids in my class when I was growing up, their parents weren't even Jewish. The father wasn't Jewish. There are things like that. So what are you going to do? If you don't have something for them, what are they going to have? So I understand it. I guess the part that I don't understand, let's say my kids don't want to go to school then. They want to be in the Beit Knesset. They should not feel pressure to go there. They should feel pressure to be in the Beit Knesset. They're allowed to do that. So, but that's okay. The school does a good thing for the community, I think. In that case, I agree with the school. Even if it's unusual. Like for my wife, for example, what in the world do you mean the school is open on Purim? If you'd open the school on Purim, nobody would even be there. Even the school building wouldn't be there. No, nobody's there. There's nothing there. Everybody's busy on Purim doing Purim. Same thing with Chanukah. Everybody's busy on Chanukah doing Chanukah. What do you mean there's school happening on Chanukah? Imagine the equivalent. I'm not comparing. Imagine if you opened that public school on Christmas. Who would be there? Okay, probably like the Jews would all be there. Yeah, the Muslims would all be there. Maybe the few ethnic groups. But all the other Americans. Now that's Muslim. Okay. So they wouldn't be there if you open school on Thanksgiving weekend. Who's gonna be there? Nobody. The same thing if you open a Jewish school on a Jewish holiday. It's not normal that Jews are there, but that's unfortunately the reality. Let me see if there's one more set of halachot we could do, because I want to make sure that we finish these halachot before Purim. Can you read with me just a few more of these halachot before the shiur ends? In Taf Reish Tzadi. That's on opposite page 306. So it's what would be 307. קורא אדם את המגילה בין עומד בין יושב. You can read the Megillah standing up or sitting down. אבל לא יקרא בציבור יושב לך תחילה, מפני כבוד הציבור. But you should not read the Megillah sitting down if you're reading it for the community, out of respect to the community. And you can ask permission from the community. I'll give you an example. Chacham Rabbi Yosef used to read the Megillah in the early years standing up. As he got older, he had to sit down. But people wanted to hear him read the Megillah. So he said, listen, if you let me read sitting down, if you don't consider it disrespectful to you, then I'll sit down and I'll read it to you. They can for sure say, please, sit. When I read the Megillah, I read it standing up. My father always reads the second Megillah at night and in the day. Ever since my father had his stroke in 2016, I think, we should always give thanks. This time of year, Kadosh Baruch Hu did many miracles for my family. And since then, it's easier for my father to be sitting down, reading the Megillah. I think also when the people come, it's the afternoon, the people are tired, it's late at night, whatever it is. And I just say, you should let everyone know, is it okay with you that we read sitting down? Yes, let's read sitting down. But ideally, when a chazan is leading tefillah, they should stand. Sometimes I notice we go around the room, let's say we're giving out vani tefillati or something like that, and we go around the room. Even if you're sitting down, you should stand up when you say that part. When you're representing the Kehillat, you should stand up for that. Says Maran in Halacha Gimel, let's give an example. Tzarich likrota kula, you have to read the whole Megillah. Umitoch haktav, you have to read it from the writing itself. I know Megillat Esther by heart. I cannot read it to you by heart though. When you read, it means there has to be a text in front of you. You have to be reading from the text. וצריך שתהיה כתובה כולה לפניו לכתחילה. And it all should be written, all of it in front of you, ideally. אבל בדיעבד אם השמיט הסופר באמצעת תיבות, אפילו עד חציה, וקרא מקרוא על פה, יצא. But what if some of the letters of the Megillah or the words of the Megillah are missing? like 2 sentences in the middle of the Megillah are missing, you're allowed to read them by heart. Because the majority of the Megillah has to be written by heart, but written from the text. But less than 51%, 49% can be read without writing, by heart. It's a very important halakha. I once had a Megillah I borrowed from somebody, and I found out in the middle there was a mistake. Wrong word. Is the Megillah still kasher? Yes. Why? Meaning, I don't know if the Megillah is kasher, but my reading was from a text that was 99.9% kasher, and therefore that counts. It's important for you also. You're supposed to hear me reading from the Megillah, but let's say you miss a sentence. How do you miss a sentence? You walked in 1 minute late, so you missed the first sentence of the Megillah. You didn't lose your chance to hear the Megillah. You read the one sentence from inside of your Chumash quickly, and then listen to the rest from the kosher Megillah, and then you read the majority of the Megillah from a Megillah. That's okay. People don't know these halachot, and then they mess up. And therefore, halakha dalid, mi shetofes biyado Megillah shena kshera. If you are holding in your hands a Megillah that is not kasher, all of you hold a Megillah that's not kasher. The Chumash is a Megillah that's not kasher, right? Because it's not written on a parchment. Lo yikrayim shaliach tzibur. Don't read it out loud with a shaliach tzibur. Ela shomea v'shotek. You should hear it and be quiet. That way you're listening to the Megillah from the real Megillah, and you're only following along from your Megillah. Listen, reading the Megillah out of order is something you can do. Reading the Megillah in different languages has interesting halachot depending how they're written. Yeah.
Curious, there are times when the Shotzi board stops and immediately reads.
Reads. And then he waits and reads it again. So you should have in mind to read with his reading the second time around. Yeah. Okay, this halakha is important. On the next page, 310. Yud bet. Kira'a mitanamnem. What if you read the Megillah while you're falling asleep? Rabbanit. If the Rabbanit reading the Megillah, ho'il velo nirdam b'shena yatsa. Because he clearly didn't fall asleep completely. Why?
He's still reading.
He's still reading, right? But if you're listening to it while you're sleeping, then you don't fulfill your mitzvah. Because if you're reading, it still shows you're awake on some level. I don't know how to determine how awake you are when you're listening to something. You know, like there's people, you go to watch a movie with them, you turn around, everyone's sleeping. Yeah? You're listening to something, they're sleeping. I sometimes see people, their phone falls on their face and they're laying on the... That's too tired now. Now you have to put away your phone and go to sleep. Yes? Used to be books. People, I think books have corners. Phones, they're maybe a little more polite.
There's been this very strange custom that's developed where people take chapters and read. Is that okay in any capacity, halakhically?
Technically, why not? It's just chaval that's what Megillah has come to.
Yeah.
Megillah has come.
I'm just wondering, because it's a...
maybe I'll tell you. No, I don't think you have stake. It's not. Because I can read for you and you can read for me, so what difference does it make if we all read for each other? I'll tell you what it does feel like to me. Yeah. There are groups today of all kinds of people who read Megillah for themselves. And what I hear from that is, they're not happy with the communities they live in. And so they look to make some kind of ulterior community. And that's fine, I mean, I guess, in some way. I never understood the person who lives near a kehillah they're not happy with. Don't live there. Get up and go. It sounds judgmental, but I mean, I can't get up and go everywhere in the world. I know, but some things in life are worth making sacrifices for. My parents, for example, 100 times could have lived in different neighborhoods in San Diego. The houses here were the same price as over there. But they chose the kehillah that was there wasn't for us. My in-laws, everywhere they bought a house, whether it was New York or it was Givat Ze'ev or Yerushalayim, it's always across the street from the Beit HaKnesset. No matter what, my in-laws have never lived anywhere that you cannot see the Beit HaKnesset from the window of their house. That's their rule, period. if it's 2-minute walk, it's 2 minutes too far. That means the little kids are not going to go. That means the wife is going to be lazy to come back from mincha. That means that the sons-in-law at the Shabbat lunch are going to be too lazy to come back for the rabbi's class. Whatever it's going to be, they don't want it. Cross the street. Everybody makes decisions. You sacrifice things for what kind of car you drive or what kind of food you like to eat. Some people sacrifice for the kehillah they want to live next to. Everybody sacrifices their own things for that. What I'm telling you here, it hurts me to see people that inside of organized kehillot, they make other things. My one request here during COVID was, I'm closing the Beit HaKnesset. I don't love to close the Beit HaKnesset. I'm not even sure you have to close the Beit HaKnesset. But the law was that we had to close the Beit HaKnesset. Then I asked the people here in this kehillah, please promise me one thing. You're not going to make smaller minyanim inside of your houses. Either we all pray together or we all pray alone. But we're not going to pray together somehow or else. We do things like a kehillah. The moment the kehillah starts having a breakaway thing here and a breakaway there, it's not a kehillah anymore. It's not a kehillah anymore. I know that in the Jewish community, people are so used to those things so if you don't read the Megillah and the community you pray with on Shabbat, I'm already worried about you. Now, Rabbanit, if you could separate the chapters or if people can read or who can, that's already details for me that they don't matter so much because we're already in a broken place. Halakha Yudaled, I'm going to finish up in a couple minutes. Maran writes, HaKoreh et Megillah, someone who reads the Megillah, tzarich shichaven leotzi hashomea. Like every mitzvah, I have to have in mind I'm reading for you. V'tzarich hashomea latzet. And you have to have in mind that I'm reading for you also. On the next page, halakha tedvav. צריך לומר 10 בני המן ו10 הכל בנשימה אחת, להודיע שכולם נהרגו וניתנו כאחד. HaChachamim tell us there's a minhag to read the names of the 10 sons of Haman all in one breath. Why? Because they all died at the same time. How did they do? They hung them all together and then they all dropped at the same time. So because of that, we read them. Now, what happens if you can't read it like that? Fine, it's okay. But the ideal is to read them all together. You might notice that in the Haggadah. Tet Zayin, in the Megillah. Tet Zayin, tzarich shiomar, you should say, after the Haggadah again, Megillah, I'm thinking of Agadot. That's why in my mind I was trying to share something, but it doesn't matter. Tzarich shiomar, a person should say, Aru Haman, cursed is Haman. Baruch Mordechai, blessed is Mordechai. Arura Zeresh, cursed is Zeresh. Who's Zeresh?
Zeresh is the
Wife of Haman. Berucha Esther, blessed is Esther. Arurim, now here it's interesting. Some texts say Kol HaGoyim, some say Kol HaReshaim. Okay, in our books it says Kol HaReshaim. All of the evil people should be cursed. Beruchim Kol Israel, and all the Jewish people should be blessed. V'tzarich shiomar, and then you say at the end, V'gam Charvona zachru lato. Charvona. Who was Charvona?
Chavona was the guard that told Achashverosh about the gallows made by Haman.
So he did one little thing, right? One thing, and he got himself onto the list of Yesh Koneh, very good. Yesh Koneh, very good. I was hoping somebody would say. Minhag Kol Yisrael, that is the minhag of all the Jewish people. Shakoreh, that when you read the Megillah, Koreh ufoshet ki igeret. You read, and you let it keep rolling like a letter. La'arot hanes, to show the miracle. L'shigmo, and when you finish, Chozer v'korcha kulam varech. You roll it all up quietly, and then you say the blessings. That's why here we roll, we quiet, we read. When I used to read for the Ashkenazim, they have an unusual minhag. Not all, many. That you first unroll the whole Megillah, and then you read. Okay, there are sources that say that, but it's clear sources that don't know how to read Hebrew. Because the Hebrew says, Koreh ufoshet. You read, and then you let it unravel. Not that you are foshet and then koreh. You unravel and then you read. I don't know where it came from. I'm not sure. Rabbi Yosef Karo showed me a source recently. They hold like a Torah. So everyone has their things. I'm just telling you, according to Shulchan Aruch, my understanding is you don't unravel first. You just read and you keep going. That's what I saw the people before me did. Unless you pray with Ashkenazim, in which case they unravel everything beforehand. Jacob, those pesukim that you mentioned that people say out loud are found in the Ramah right here. That Ramah, he includes all those pesukim that people say repetitively out loud. And then the last halakha for today, halakha Yudchet. Megillah, reading the Megillah on page 312. Biyud Daled uveted Vav, whether the 14th or the 15th, tzarich lachazor achar asara. Ideally, you should look for a minyan of 10. Vim I afshar ba'asara, korim ota biyachid. And if you can't find 10, you read it even just one person. Haggah says the Rama, v'yesh lehistapek. And there's a question, im nashim mitztarfot la'asara. If women count for 10 here. Mori Harav was of the opinion that women do count for 10 here in Megillat Esther, and that like other places, like Chanukah, candles, wraps, the Beit HaKnesset, women counting for Asara here is crucial because women are part of the miracle. There's no exclusion for women being part of the minyan of Megillah. By Tefillah, where we have a minyan for 10, for Shacharit, Mincha Arvit, there is a rabbinic teaching why 10 men over the age of Bar Mitzvah. But here, this is a rabbinic mitzvah. Women are obligated in mitzvah just like men are. And therefore, our opinion is that even 10 women in the room would count for a minyan for this mitzvah. And 5 men, 5 women, 7 men, 3 women, whatever the mixture is going to be, we all. So people tell you women don't count for a minyan. It's not an accurate statement. What kind of minyan? Not all minyanim are created the same. It's like when people tell you that women are not kasher witnesses, but they are, depending what. In a court, we don't usually, at least not traditionally, count women's testimony. We try not to have women testify in a court. And that's, again, based on the dirasha of our rabbis. But, for example, if you ever ate at somebody's house before, Ed echad ne'eman b'isurin, the one witness can testify that food is kasher. Who's that witness when you're eating in the house? Who's likely the cook at the house that you went to? Probably the wife or the mother or the grandmother or somebody cooked over there. And she cooks, she says the food's kasher. You don't ask more questions. You just eat her food. Why? One witness is reliable in laws of kashrut. So I don't like when people throw out phrases, women are not, women cannot, men cannot, many the people speak not accurately. Judaism is has a legal code to it, and the legal code has to be precise. So I think for right now, what did we learn so far? We have to read Megillah on the nighttime of Purim, the daytime of Purim. We have 4 parashiot that we read before we even get to Purim in preparation for Purim. 2 of those parashiot are biblically obligated, maybe, according to Maran. And then we have a fast day for healthy people right before Purim. And when we come back to Hashem next week, we're going to talk a little bit about how to write the Megillah. I'm going to bring you a Megillah to show you how the Megillah actually looks like inside, to touch it, to feel it, to see what it looks like inside. And then we're going to talk about things like the tefillot of Purim, about giving out gifts to the poor people on Purim, about giving out gifts of food on Purim, the mitzvah of eating a meal on Purim, of drinking wine on Purim, and then B'ezrat Hashem, we will be ready for Purim when it comes. If we happen to have extra time before Purim comes, maybe we'll have a shiur on the Megillah itself, the story of Purim, and if not, we'll do that on a Sunday class before Purim. Thank you for learning with me tonight. This is Mitzvot.